Hey everyone, Kelly Dean Allen here with you again, and welcome to our Walk Through the Years tutorials, which I started with 1960. We're now up to 1965, and my pick for 1965 is The Last Time by the Rolling Stones. Now, before we get started, just a little preamble about this track before we get to the tutorial, so bear with me for about 2 minutes, yeah? So then, here is the deal with this one, and no slight against Mick and Keith with this, because it was all record company and business manager bullshit. But the Stones basically stole an old Staples singer's song from 1954, rocked it up a bit, and said, we now wrote this. Then some guy made an orchestral version of the track that really sounds very, very little like the Stones' version of the song, but it was based off of it, I suppose. Flash forward many years, and British band The Verve, with permission originally, sampled this orchestral bit in their mega hit Bittersweet Symphony. The Stones' former business manager, Alan Klein, unfortunately sued The Verve for using basically too much of this unrecognizable version of the Stones song and won the case, giving all the music royalties to him and song rights back to Mick and Keith, the latter being rather unimportant to him, one supposes, because he owned all the rights to the Stones' 60s output and all the royalties that came with them. This all over a track that Mick and Keith stole themselves in the first place. Easily one of the most absurd and ugly copyright decisions in the history of rock and roll music. Now, it took a while, but thankfully Mick and Keith, after Alan Klein's death, just recently gave the rights back to Richard Ashcroft and The Verve, and the whole ugly affair finally came to a close about 4 or 5 years ago. That all said, preamble over. Let's close in, get started with the Stones version of The Last Time from 1965. Good then, The Last Time, the Rolling Stones from 1965. We are in standard tuning for this tutorial. Pretty famous opening guitar riff that this one has. Goes a little something like this. And repeat. So we're starting on the 7 of the D string with our ring finger. We're going to slide it into 9. Catch the 7 of the G with your index on the upstroke. Let those notes ring together. Then you're going to drop your pinky down onto the 9 of the G string and go 9D, 9G, catching it on the upstroke. Right? Then you're going to go off to open D, hammer back onto that 9, catch that 7 on the upstroke again of the G, and then finish with that open A, 7 of the D, 6 of the G, and then repeat. Right, but about twice as fast. Right? You're going to repeat that 12 times at the beginning of this track, 4 times before the vocals come in, and then 8 more times during the first verse. And then we drop into the chorus. We're going to drop into an A major chord here at the 5th fret position on the top 4 strings. With that kind of strumming picking pattern. So the first and third time, we're just going to kind of downstroke the D and G string twice, and then ride up the top 3 strings, right? First and third time. Now the second and fourth time, we're going to arpeggiate the first couple of notes. So you're going to go D, G, D, and then ride up the top 3 strings, right? So you hang in that for about 4 measures, and then you're going to move it up to D major for 3 measures, picked the same way. Back to A twice, and then right back into the main riff again. Right, and then repeat it 8 more times once the vocals come in. Drop into another chorus. D. Back to A. Back to the riff. Twice, and then we drop into the bridge. So the bridge. So we're going to be repeating this chord progression 4 times with little fills between each one, right? So we're starting with an E major chord here on the top 4 strings, a bar on the 9s, D, G, and B, and our pinky down here on the 12 of the high E. So in E, it's going to be 2 downstrokes and then a quick up down. Kind of like that. Then we're going to back it up 2 spots to D, bop, bop, and then off to A major again, and then off to E major at the neck position. A little up, down, down, right? And that's the first fill. So we're going to grab this 2 of the G, slide it into 4, catch the 3 of the B twice, and then back to that 4, slide it back to 2 off to open, finish on the 2 of the D. Right back into this again. Second fill. Sliding into 14 of the D, 12 onto 14 of the G into a double bend. Back to the natural note off to 12, finish on the 14 of the D. Right, back into this again. Third time, right? We're going to repeat the first fill. Right, back into this again. And that's the final fill before dropping into another chorus. 14 of the high E, little half step bend release off to 12. String skip up to the 14 of the G, little bend release off to 12, finishing on the 14 of the D. Right into another chorus. Into another verse, right? Another chorus comes after that. The final chorus coming out of D, you just drop off to that A major, strum it, let it ring for about a bar, drop back into the main riff again, and just continue playing it until the end of the track. For like 25-30 seconds. And there you go. That is how you play The Last Time by the Rolling Stones from 1965. Certainly hope you enjoyed that, found it helpful. If you did, please hit that like button right down there somewhere. Maybe drop me a subscribe if you haven't done that already, as that would be very kind. Hope you're well out there in your little guitar corner of the world. Merry Christmas to you all, because Christmas is in 3 days, and we will see you next time. Cheers.